Hello and welcome to New York Talk. This is the scouting report with me, Mick. Unfortunately, you've not got Matt today because he's got man flu, so he's bottled out. So I'm joined by Tom from what's your podcast called, Tom? Blackpool?
It's Not Orange podcast.
The It's Not Orange podcast, and we're going to just have a brief chat about the Blackpool versus Rotherham United game tomorrow night, Tuesday night. So, Tom, Blackpool, how's your season going so far?
It's been difficult. Away from home, we've found some amazing form. I think we sit about fourth, and we've had some really good performances away. We've shown a lot of heart because last season it couldn't have got much worse away from home. A bit like your travels, which we spoke about previously. It's just one of those ones where we had a season of turmoil away from home and thousands of pounds spent for away fans, and sometimes not even having a shot on target against the likes of Port Vale and Burton. It was just a difficult watch under Critchley, but Bruce has brought hope and rejuvenation. I suppose the thing we're lacking the most is quality and depth, and we didn't have a natural left winger for a while once Hamilton got injured, and we've just had a bit of we're 20th for home form and 4th for away form. So it says a lot when we get going away. We kind of draw 3 or 4 in a row at home, and we haven't won since September at Bloomfield Road. So there's been some great moments this season. It hasn't been entirely mind-numbing, if I'm being honest. Like I said, there's been some great performances in there. We've just suffered with 12 draws. If we turn 3 or 4 of those into wins, especially when we should have beaten the likes of Stevenage, Northampton at home, we would have probably been looking up with a bit more hope than we already are. But I'm still looking forward to games, which is more than some teams can say in League One.
Well, yeah, absolutely. What were your expectations at the beginning of the season? Where did you see Blackpool going? Were the playoffs an objective?
Yeah, I'm not an arrogant fan. I always go by what the owner says, and a lot of owners will want the best for their club. But when Neil Critchley and Sadler sort of sat down in front of the fans at the start of the season, Sadler's aspirations were very much, we want to get Blackpool back to where they belong, and that's the Championship. In his opinion, he is a fan, he owns the club. There's a lot of stuff that's gone on since then with Simon Sadler, and we're not in the best of positions in terms of him being our owner potentially. But when they sit down and tell you that's what they want and we'll spend the money and do this and do that, they put the season ticket prices up and said, if you want better players, we're going to need you to spend more money. And Blackpool fans did that, and lo and behold, we spent probably 300-400 grand, and we only have sort of one right winger, 2 left wingers, one's on loan. We have 3 or 4 centre midfielders now fit. Joseph went for 2.5 million to Hull, and then we got Tom Bloxham in return for 300,000. So we've got a really good sort of first 12 to 13 players, but past that, we're relying on like Josh Onomer in midfield, who's not fit. Sonny Carey's been starting games recently, hasn't been amazing in centre mid, and then past a few sort of positions, we're just not there or thereabouts. But aspirations wise, we got told they want playoffs, so therefore that's what fans expected.
Yeah, I drifted away a little bit there because I thought you were talking about Rotherham United.
So I said exactly the same.
The promises that are made from the chairman.
You did sign really well, though. We've said this, haven't we? It's just the football probably hasn't been the right brand for your players.
Well, yeah, that's yeah.
We're not doing that again.
We're not doing that again. I'm not going to get into any more trouble. Well, I will, but I will save that for another day. So Critchley managed, I think, was it 2 games, did you say, at the beginning of the season?
Yeah, literally 2, yeah. So Crawley, we lost 2-1, and then we got thumped against Stockport at home. A game, like I said to you previously, we probably could have scored in the first half, and his lifeline might have been extended, but the atmosphere at full time was very much toxic towards Critchley, and after last season, enough was enough. And actually, to be fair to Sadler, he was brave enough to pull the trigger early doors.
So let me put this to you, maybe a little bit of playing devil's advocate a little bit here, but one of the criticisms that some of our supporters, pointing at myself and others, had of our board when they appointed Steve Evans was that it was an appointment that didn't really have a great deal of ambition in terms of a manager, in terms of looking forward and sort of taking the club forward.
Yeah.
And then Blackpool appoints Steve Bruce.
Yeah.
And for me, that kind of fits the same sort of argument that it's not really a forward-thinking appointment. Is that how you saw it as a Blackpool supporters or not?
I've spoke about this 2 or 3 times on Opposition podcast. If you go back to when he was appointed and you listen to our emergency reaction podcast, I think we sit in silence for about a couple of minutes.
Right.
I got told by someone that they've seen Steve Bruce in Blackpool, and you know when someone's on the wind up on Twitter or something.
Yeah.
Funny one, because they always wanted to appoint an up and coming coach, a bit like Critchley. And someone said, "No, I generally not pulling leg. I've just seen him." And then I asked a few questions and kind of got told, and I just sat on the chair and I just laughed. But to caveat that, you know, he was a ridiculous footballer. He's had an amazing career, well over 1,000 games. He's experienced promotions, he's experienced relegations, he's experienced really poor football, but nonetheless, he's probably the most genuine manager one of the most genuine managers, should I say, I've experienced. And I get really bored of modern day post-match analysis and pre-match analysis, but with him, if Rotherham, as an example, tomorrow were better, he would say, "Oh, we weren't good enough. You know, this is the reason, blah blah blah, and you know, we've got to get better." He doesn't sort of worry about what he's got to say, and he'll say exactly how it is. And I think he's very rarely got it wrong. You know, this season he's been ultimately quite frustrated in some post matches, but he's been really truthful about it. He hasn't played the most amazing football. He hasn't got the most amazing squad. What he has done is trimmed about 5 or 6 players, and he's been kind of been like, cut the crap. You're out. I want this in the long term. So do you know what? What he's done so far, we've lost 2 in 13. We're unbeaten in 2025. We play pretty reasonable football for the players we've got, and he's already started to cull the squad. Now, if he is here next season, and like Steve Evans, I said on our previous show review before, I don't think it's a long-term appointment for Rotherham, and you probably need to move in a better direction despite the signings you made. But if he can give us one season next year with a fairly decent summer of players that he wants, I firmly believe he'll get us in the top 5, top 6, maybe pushing a bit more. I know that sounds preemptive of me, but judging by the kind of football and the run we've been on now, if he had his own players, and maybe 5 or 6 of them, and using what he knows in the game and the connections he's got, providing we can spend money, and hopefully Sadler does do that, I firmly believe we can be in and around the playoffs. No problem next campaign, providing he's still here.
Well, I mean, you've only got to look at the quality of this league this year, and it is so bad. It is so bad.
I thought it would be a lot better, but Peterborough obviously fallen off a cliff.
Yeah.
Rotherham haven't, performed like we said previously in the way you were. So you've got the likes of Leighton Orient and stuff putting some solid runs together, and therefore they've got the opportunity now. And I just don't think there's going to be a team other than Birmingham, who obviously are very much a caveat to this league. But I think most years, although there's big teams in it, I think you've just got to be consistent. Yeah. And a lot of teams in around the playoffs obviously have been, but a lot of teams that haven't got going like us, you face the consequences of that.
Yeah, absolutely. So who should we be looking out for tomorrow from a Blackpool point of view?
Yeah, I'm a 30-odd-year-old man. I don't usually get devastated about grown men being out of squads, but recently we signed Tom Bloxham, who's just won goal of the month for his amazing goal against Exeter. He's a breath of fresh air. He's out, so I would say look out for him, but he's out for 4 weeks now. But ironically, centre back Ollie Casey, he's been outstanding this campaign. He is superb. He's the centre back alongside Elkan Baggett, who's massive. He's on loan from Ipswich. Centre back partnership's been brilliant. A fire at right back, so the back line generally as a whole, but those 3 in particular, who's phenomenal if he plays. Apter at right wing, Tranmere's player of the year last campaign. He's been again very, very good. It's his first season in the squad for Blackpool, and he's a very good player at right wing. That's where you said we can hurt you. And up front, I'll say Noel Ennis, because we've just signed him. He scored on debut, and he's been pretty decent. So I would say sort of those 3 or 4, but ultimately the back line's been solid. And look out for Rob Apter.
Interesting. We're not pulled any trees up at all going forward over the last few games, so could be quite interesting, or not, as the case may be. So, prediction. What do you think? What's your prediction for the game tomorrow result?
This will bite me on the bum, but I will go for a 2-1 Blackpool win. We haven't won since September at home, but I think if we're got to do it, it's got to be tomorrow against a side that's only 1-2 away from home. And if we don't do it, it probably surmises our season in terms of stepping up to the plate.
Interesting, yeah, because I've gone for 1-0 to Blackpool on our podcast, but the away form has been really, really poor, and we as I mentioned to you earlier on, we played Burton away a couple of weeks ago, and they absolutely hammered us. They'd only won one game at home all season, much like yourselves. So, the footballing gods are. Football symmetry, as Matt likes to call it, suggests that it's going to be a Blackpool win.
It's either going to be a woeful game or it'll be a thoroughly entertaining one. But I think nonetheless, we both need to win. You need to win away, and we definitely need to win home. So it's probably going to be 0-0.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. Oh, that. I mean, none of us need that, do we? Let's be fair. No. Right, okay, Tom, listen, really appreciate you joining us. Thanks for that. And good luck for the rest of the season after tomorrow, clearly, after Tuesday. And hopefully, you never know, we might meet again. Well, we will meet again.
We've got to play you away. So, yeah. All right, mate. Thank you so much. It's been an honour.
Cheers. Thanks, Tom. Cheers.
No worries, mate. Bye-bye.
Bye.